How's it going, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Devin the Bear. Thank you for joining us again. And this past weekend, there was a lot to talk about. Great things that happened in MMA, some not so great things, and there is something that is non-MMA related that we do want to discuss. So let's go ahead and get right into it. This past Thursday, we had the PFL card, and there's some great fights, some guys who definitely showed out, some upsets, and some controversial things that happened, mainly with the Renan Ferreira knockout win against Fabricio Verdum. A lot kind of what happened there. It was a really exciting start for these big guys. You know, as soon as they saw each other, they ran out and kicked each other, and it was like, it's, you know, classic Verdum. He doesn't really care, just likes to do that. But then he took Renan down immediately after that, which is kind of what we expected. And so they scrambled a little bit on the floor. There were some great sweeps that were going on. It was some high level jiu-jitsu between those guys. You know, it's really crazy to see these giant guys just going around, rolling around like that, and just getting a great grappling match in. You know, Verdum was able to eventually sink in a triangle. He kind of baited him into it. And Renan has very long arms, so while he's in the triangle, he's punching Verdum in the face. For those who didn't see it, he's punching him in the face. And after that, there's a big deal about, you know, maybe he tapped on his shoulder.
Well, there's no maybe.
Yeah, no, he tapped.
He absolutely tapped.
He tapped. And so, like, there's the whole thing is that he tapped on the back of his shoulder where Keith Peterson, feel bad for this guy. But, so this moment I felt bad for him. Alcohol. Yeah, cigarettes and alcohol. I mean, he probably had a couple natty daddies and, you know, maybe a fucking Winston cigarette before this. But I didn't see the tap, which, I mean, it wasn't his fault. He was on a bad side of him to see the tap. And so he didn't see the tap, and then after that, Verdum starts to loosen up the triangle. It was in really, really deep. He had it in just right. I mean, this is a guy who submitted, you know, Fedor Emelianenko with this triangle. He knows how to do this submission. He's a high-level jiu-jitsu guy. And Renan, with his long arms, just starts raining down punches on him, and eventually he starts to loosen it up, and it seems that he's kind of rocked whenever it's happening, and so that's kind of why.
It's like the transition from a tight triangle, you have him... My thoughts on it are it was a phantom tap where he tapped just to try to get the guy to let go. I think because when you go and look at it, when Fabricio Verdum has the triangle and he's taking the punches, but he's taking them well, he's fine.
Yeah.
So I think Renan Ferreira starts to think, okay, maybe I am in trouble with this, but I can still hit him.
Yeah.
And then he, like you said, he goes and he taps on the shoulder twice, immediately starts punching him again though.
Yeah.
And Verdum, after the fight, said, yeah, no, I've been doing this for, 20 or 30 years. I know that when a guy taps, I let go. That's just part of the job. That's what I do. It's what we all do. So I know he tapped.
Yeah.
But my thing is, I don't think he let go because he felt the tap. I think he let go because, like you said, he got a little rocked.
Yeah, and that guy was throwing down punches.
Soon as he got rocked, or as soon as he... tapped, the guy Renan tapped, he pulls the triangle tighter.
Yeah.
And you can go look at this. It is absolutely what he does. He grabs the back of his head with both hands and pulls in deeper to get a tighter choke.
Yeah.
That's just typical technique with triangles. So as soon as he felt the tap and got hit once or twice, he tucks in and pulls the head. Takes a few more hits, and then one that rocks him, that's when he lets go, and his arm kind of falls down and he starts to turn in. There was no point where he was like, oh, I felt the tap, and looks at the ref and kind of lets go and goes, yeah, he tapped. Anyone who is in that situation would do that. Yeah. So I think, one, you had Renan phantom tap and immediately start punching because he tapped in the spot where he knew the ref couldn't see. And then he immediately starts punching. And then you have Fabricio Verdum get rocked. I don't think he let go because he felt the tap.
And then
because he wouldn't have tightened it.
Yeah, and then right after that, so he starts loosening up because he was hitting it. He was some great shots by a big guy.
And they were really big shots. So here's something interesting. I was saving this actually for when we recorded. Did you know that Renan Ferreira plays Fabricio Verdum in a movie? Isn't that weird?
That is weird.
That's so weird.
It's kind of funny, actually.
Yeah, he plays Fabricio Verdum in a movie called Terreia or Terror. Yeah, it's Portuguese. I wouldn't know how to pronounce it. I probably botched it, but it's about I'm blanking on his name, Augusto, but he's a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu legend, and Fabricio Verdum shows up in this biopic about him, and he's played by Renan Fajea, and here's Renan Fajea fighting Fabricio Verdum.
Yeah.
That's so weird.
That is weird. I never heard about it, so we'll
you
probably
can
go
look
back
it
and
up.
watch that movie.
It's freaking weird.
That's what. So eventually, he rolls over, and then Renan just keeps throwing punches. Eventually, Fabricio goes out. I mean, you can't.
There's like 6 punches that are completely unanswered.
Yeah.
Verdum is out,
and I don't know what Keith Peterson was thinking. It was a very, very late stoppage. I mean, I remember watching
his
that.
hands were busy.
Yeah,
taking a drag,
and taking a sip. You know, he's posted up with a blunt and beer.
I don't like talking mess about refs.
No, not at all, because they have the most.
This one was pretty bad.
Yeah, this one was an obvious like, hey, Mazzagatti, get in there. Like that was not good.
The tap wasn't like I said, it was out of his eyesight, so I don't blame him if he didn't see the tap.
Yeah,
it is what it is. But the several unanswered punches, but yeah, I think that's something they asked Verdum if he would want to try to make an appeal to have it overturned, and he kind of said no.
Yeah, I think because he kind of knows what the PFL rules, that he can still go in there and he can still you know, like have a chance to get in the quarterfinals and the semifinals and all that. So he's probably just like, you know what?
The thing is now though is that's a 6-point
lead
jump for Renan Fajea,
for somebody who,
and he's not the only one who got 6 points.
Yeah.
So the heavyweight situation right now is a pretty big deal, because another person who was in the heavyweight division who fought that night was Brandon Sales and Muhammad Usman, the younger but much larger brother of Kamaru Usman.
And it's funny because Brandon Sales looks just like Chris Weidman, just bigger.
Yeah, he does.
He looks
bigger.
Yeah. Somebody, I remember one of the comments when I was kind of watching the recap on these fights is somebody says like, "Damn, dude, Chris Weidman came back from the injury really quick." But I mean, his fight actually came back kind of what I expected it to be. It was pretty much with Sales, you know, I mean, he's a heavyweight, he's experienced, and as you know, Muhammad Usman's a very, very big guy. He's very muscular, while you have Sales in, it's just like a lot of his wins are by submission. So I kind of figured it was going to be a second round submission for Brandon Sales. He tagged Muhammad really in the second round. He tagged him, and after that he got that choke in and he choked him out cold. And so kind of played out how I expected it to. I know Muhammad will be back. I mean, he's a specimen, dude. If you see that guy, and
dude's massive.
Yeah, he's huge. It's like that's Kamaru's big little brother.
And that's the thing though. He's so big. Kamaru has great cardio, great conditioning.
Yeah.
What we need to see if Muhammad does.
Yeah.
Because if he goes late in these rounds with these heavyweights, it's not going to go well for him.
Yeah.
Especially if this early on he's shown that he can get submitted. So that's not a good start off for the season.
No.
A couple other fights. Someone who did get a great start was Kayla Harrison.
Yep.
2-time judo gold medalist with the Olympics. She got a TKO over Mariana Moraes. Just an all-around dominant performance. I think I had said this last time. You think Ronda Rousey's judo is good, you should see her.
Yeah.
She's a killer.
I mean, it was a quick fight, wasn't it? I know it was first round.
Yeah, it was first round, so she's got the 6 points for having a first-round finish.
Yeah.
There's not like a whole lot to say because it happened in the first round, and you don't get to see very much from Moraes, so it's kind of hard to say as far as any standings go. All you can say is, well, Kayla Harrison looks super dominant.
Yeah.
So she's definitely sitting up top of those rankings. One of the other fights was Larissa Pacheco and Julia Pajic. And that was another TKO in the first round.
Yeah.
So another person who's sitting up top in those rankings for
both
the season.
6 points, yeah. Oh, and I want to say the flyweight division, right?
Yeah.
Yep. So I mean, both have 6 points. They'll probably end up meeting each other, depending on how it plays out. But I mean, it's kind of with Pacheco. I mean, you see her too. She's built like Jessica Andrade. She's stocky.
Yeah.
And I mean, she was able to go out there and put her out really, really quick. So it was kudos to her for doing that. I mean, you know, I enjoy watching the PFL, dude. It's so much fun.
Yeah.
These guys are,
and I think this was the first main card anyway of one of the PFL events.
Yeah.
PFL 3 is the title of it. If anyone wants to go look at the card results, but it's the first one that had almost all finishes on the main card.
Really?
Yeah. The rest have been a lot of decisions.
PFL 1 was a lot. I think every fight was a decision.
Every fight. I think only one guy got a finish on that card.
Yeah, Brandon Riddell, I think was his name, right? Yeah.
Brendan. Yeah. So PFL is really exciting right now. With the Verdum situation, now he's stuck in the lower end of the rankings for the heavyweight season. He's not last because there was someone who missed weight, so he's got -1 points.
Yep.
Verdum, as well as several others, have 0 points, while there are at least 2 guys at the top with 6, and I think one has 5 points. So very competitive, very surprising with some of these guys. I still think Verdum's gonna kind of run it. I think he's gonna do really well. He got that submission. The guy tapped. Whether it was a real tap or not, I don't know, but he did tap. So they're not going to overturn it. That's fine. It is what it is. As long as Verdum's willing to accept those results. I think if he wanted to make an appeal, he'd get it. Because you see the guy tap. That's all there is to it.
Yeah.
It's just a shame
that it went down like that.
Yeah.
I mean, you hate to see that. I mean, but Verdum will definitely be back. I think he's probably, if not, I think he will definitely be the best heavyweight out of that whole division. But that's just because the fact that he's just, even though he is older, he's a veteran of the sport. He just has, that dude's been fighting since like Pride. So
Renan is going to be a problem for him. That's actually his fighting name is the problem.
Really?
Yeah.
You see that guy though? He's been like Isaac Frost.
So last time I said Verdum's got the reach advantage, and I don't know what I was thinking, because Verdum is giant. He's very tall, very long, very big. Renan is larger than him, and taller than him, and longer than him, which is crazy.
Yeah.
Isaac Frost was probably the hardest boss fight in any video game. It's the Fight Night Champion.
Yeah, which is funny because they actually kind of look alike too.
A little bit. He's a little chunkier than Isaac Frost though.
Yeah.
But yeah, Isaac Frost is huge. He's got these really long arms, and you have to go in there and try to take him down, and it's really hard. But yeah, huge. These guys are huge. So I'm going to stop saying that now because it's making it weird, and we're going to move on to the Bellator fights.
This happened the following day on that Friday. It was a lot of great fights happened, a lot of familiar names, to say a few. I mean, with the preliminary card, even then, they were actually on YouTube. Lorenz Larkin defeated Rafael Cavallo, so that was...
that was a really good fight. You really expect a lot from those guys, former UFC fighters.
Yeah.
You had Patchy Mix get a win. You had
Eric Perez, former flyweight, UFC flyweight.
Yeah.
He was the first fight on that card.
So that whole card is going to be a fun one to look back on. You had Patricky Pitbull Frere get another win, so that one's always good to see. I'm sorry, loss. He got a loss, which is crazy to see.
Yeah.
And again, I'm just wrong.
Hey, it's okay. I'll probably butcher somebody's name eventually, but yeah, it's kind of crazy to see him take a loss. But I mean, he's been fighting in Bellator since 2011. Man, he's been in there for 10 years. He's been doing it for a very long time.
The guy he fought, a great Irish fighter, Peter Cayley, Quayle, however it's said. Again, we're awful. We're the worst. We're terrible. We're scum. But we're gonna get into one of the fights I'm so excited about. I absolutely love Michael Venom Page.
Yeah.
If you don't know who Michael Venom Page is, go look him up. He's so fun to watch. Unless you don't like guys who are a little showboaty.
Yeah, he's very brash.
He is a lot of showboaty. Yeah. But I would say I respect Anderson Silva. I love it what Anderson Silva did as far as his career. Did not like watching him because you showboat and you don't go out there and win your fight. When you're that good, you can go out there and win your fight. And he showboated and he didn't go out there and win his fights. He just won his fight.
Yeah.
The fight with Damian Maia was a big one. The difference with Michael Venom Page is he showboats, but he finishes those fights.
Yeah.
He puts a hurting on these guys, and he does it in spectacular fashion. One of his most notable ones was against Cyborg. He got a flying knee, which pretty much caved in Cyborg's face. I don't think Cyborg will ever fight again because of this.
No, he did retire after that.
Afterwards, MVP, Michael Venom Page, throws a Pokeball at him, and he rolls it on the ground over to him, and then turns around and does a little anime pose to the camera. and it was rough.
Yeah, it was. What's it called? I mean, that's how I first. I had knew of Michael Venom Page before, and then I realized how showboaty he was. So that's why I never really cared for him.
A lot of people are off put by that, but you see this guy fight, and you realize, oh, he's showboaty because that's just how much he's winning these fights. And when he goes in there, he is levels above these guys, and he isn't using the showboating because he's that good. He's using the showboating as a weapon to lure, not even to lure guys in, just to make sure they're down at their level so that he can continue doing whatever he wants.
It's kind of weird how he's able to telegraph those guys. I mean, he does it so well. Like, whenever he did against Derek Anderson, it was, with that fight, it ended with a broken nose, but he was messing with Derek, and Derek decides to do it back to him, and he throws a head kick right on his nose, dude.
Derek Anderson leaned directly into the head kick. Complete front of the bridge of his nose, straight into MVP's shin. It was nasty.
It's like probably one of the worst broken, top three worst broken noses I've seen. You got Rich Franklin's, and then Mike Perry's, and then there's his
Brandon Barras against Thiago Silva.
Yeah, forgot about
nasty.
that. Yeah,
he broke it
just completely to the side. But this guy's nose, like, he had no nose. Like, it just looked, I don't know, it looked like he got really bad plastic surgery. So leading him into more of the card, we finally saw Anthony Rumble Johnson come back, I was excited for this fight. I'm always excited to see him fight. I've been watching him since he was fighting at 170, which is crazy. I think he used to make 170.
Well, it was supposed to be against Yoel Romero. Romero didn't make the fight, so he was replaced. And Rumble talks about it. He talks about how he wasn't really sure if he even wanted to keep going with it, because he said he didn't feel like there was a whole lot of guys that were worth his time. And I don't blame him. But the guy that replaced him, Romero, was Jose Augusto. And that is an exciting one. Augusto almost won the fight.
Pretty first
early
round.
on. He rocked Rumble and dropped him. And he stayed on him, but he ended up breaking his hand, so he couldn't keep it going. So eventually the momentum of the fight kind of switches to Rumble, and Rumble gets the win.
And you kind of see what Anthony Rumble Johnson does best is he put him to sleep with one punch. It was real dirty. Bad. I mean, that dude just fell straight back. It was a intense knockout, and I was like, man, that's Rumble Johnson, I know. But he did say in the post-fight press conference that he felt
bad.
He was pissed. Slow. He's like, I'm mad at myself for how I feel right now, and it's just like, I think it's just the adjustment. People kind of commented on his physique. They were like, he's not as built as he was in the UFC, but I mean, this guy went from being 265 to cutting down to 205, and he's also older now. I mean, you're gonna lose that definition.
And he also went for a while without fighting. Yeah. So he's not in his competition shape yet. He might still get there. If he doesn't, though, look at all the guys who went over to from the UFC to Bellator after they retired. Most of them aren't in the shape they used to be in.
Rampage Jackson's fighting at 265.
Rampage Jackson is far from the shape he used to be in.
And I think he knows it too. I mean, I think it eats at him, but I mean, it kind of happens with, look at, Frank Mir. Frank Mir, whenever he went to Bellator, he looks out of shape.
Well, Frank Mir doing his boxing at Triller. He looked rough. I didn't realize when he was wearing his shirt for the press conferences. He's got such a huge chest, you don't notice how much of a gut he has. Takes off that shirt and you're just like, whoa. Where'd that come from?
But with the Rumble Johnson that showed up, I'm kind of happy he didn't fight Yoel Romero. Yoel's always in great shape, and so he definitely would have been the fighter in better shape. But hopefully they can figure out what's going on with his eye, and hopefully they can figure out what's going on with his eye and stuff. I mean, what's kind of crazy was they asked Israel Adesanya about it, and they had said, oh well, he was like, yeah, I actually know something was wrong with his left eye whenever we had our stare down for our fight, and so that's kind of why he couldn't pass the medical exam because of that left eye. So hopefully they can get that figured out. I want to see that fight because
it's crazy to think that they're in the same weight class though. Like you said, Rumble used to make 170. It's crazy. His fight against Josh Koscheck is one that always kind of confuses me because he's always been bigger than all the guys at welterweight. But he was so thin back then, you could at least go, okay, well that makes sense. I get how he could make 170, but there's no way he's fighting at 170. No. But when you go and look at his fight against Josh Koscheck, he's a lot longer, but he's not bulky at all. Even for 170, he wasn't bulky in that fight.
He did try 185 against Belfort, and he did miss weight for that fight. He missed it by 10 pounds, and So eventually they just sort of like, I think that's when Dana White told him something at the weigh-ins.
Yeah, he told him, hey, what did he say? He said, hey, this can't happen again.
Yeah.
It's not happening again. You're not fighting in this weight class again.
And he missed 185 by 196. Belfort still fought him, ended up beating Johnson by rear naked choke. Yeah. So, which, I mean, Anthony Johnson left and he ended up finding his footing at light heavyweight and heavyweight. He actually broke Andrei Arlovski's jaw at heavyweight. Yeah. So I think there's a lot of good competition for him at Bellator, but I don't know if they're going to be able to compete with his power, you know?
I think his power is going to be a big deal.
Yeah.
But looking at this fight, if he doesn't have the reaction time, which is something I'm going to bring up with a different fighter later, if he doesn't have that reaction time, he's going to lose. Because you look at Ryan Bader. Ryan Bader looks almost better than he ever has.
Yeah, he looks great.
He is a complete fighter now. When he was in the UFC, he was a wrestler who could hit hard. Started falling in love with his hands, but didn't really have any reason to yet. Now he has a reason to. His striking ability is completely different than when he was in the UFC. So if he and Anthony Johnson end up meeting, I think Ryan Bader beats him. I don't think Anthony Johnson's going to be quick enough if he looks like he did in the beginning of the fight with Augusto.
Yeah, and so because I mean when he got hit by the big shots, like you've never seen him get hit by a shot like that. But,
yeah.
So I mean, well, he's going to be fighting again soon, so we'll definitely be able to get a good feel for what he's going to be doing.
And he's got plenty of time. The way this is working, I think he's going to have plenty of time. Yeah, it'll be soon, but they are going to have a lot on their hands now because of what's all the changes that have just happened. Michael Page calling out Douglas Lima again, but he's get to a point where he's calling him out without even saying his name.
Yeah,
he doesn't want to say it anymore. I think that puts Douglas Lima on a spot that Bellator has to say, hey, you have to answer to him at some point.
Which, I mean, to the point, too, is like I'm sure Douglas Lima's like, I'm not going to keep calling out a guy that fights these under-level fighters. And I think it's kind of his point with that.
The only thing is when all of the guys beneath you are lower-level fighters because you and MVP are that much higher than everybody else.
Yeah.
There's nothing else to do.
Yeah, I mean he's gonna have to fight him eventually because I mean I think Diego Lima is Douglas, yeah, Douglas Lima. He's only fought like 3 times since.
Yeah, but here's my thing. He's beaten nothing but, in his words, would be bums.
Yeah,
he's beaten nothing but bums too because when you are that good, that's all there is.
Yeah.
Michael Page is gonna have nothing but those guys to fight too, and I think Michael Page is a better fighter than Douglas Lima, but he needs to realize Douglas Lima is better than all these other guys that he's been fighting. Yeah. So he can't not joke around, but he can't do those things the way he does. If you move your balance off of your feet the way he did, that's exactly what's going to happen.
And Douglas Lima's, I wish he was in the UFC to fight facing the best of the best.
I wish he would have, yeah. Him and Diego Lima are great.
Yeah, and I think, they had fought before already. Douglas actually knocked him out, and because the MVP was doing what he usually does is he was showboating a little bit, and then
he takes his balance off of his foot, and Douglas Lima just wipes that foot out from underneath him, and as he's getting up, just destroys his face.
Yeah, with that nasty uppercut. Yeah. I mean, I think he knocked his mouthpiece out of his mouth.
It was bad. He went limp.
And what's Douglas Lima is known for his leg kicks. It was just
and that's what I'm saying. You know this guy's going to take your legs out from under you. Why would you be so light on your feet to a point where you know you're going to lose your balance?
Yeah,
it's not a good light on your feet with the way he was showboating. But yeah, with that change, and then the other change is going to be Sergio Pettis.
Yep,
getting the championship.
He defeated Juan Archuleta by decision,
which he's been pretty dominant.
Yes,
he's looked real good. So Sergio Pettis has looked real good since he's left the UFC and went into Bellator.
Yeah, Juan Archuleta's 26-3. This is his 3rd loss. Yeah. I mean, he trains with some great guys. He trains with Sam Calviti over at the training lab with TJ Dillashaw, Colby Northcutt, Raymond Daniels, all these other great fighters, and so. I definitely think, but
he calls it a lab. It's his garage.
His garage, yeah.
To be clear, if you go look into this, they call it a lab, but it is literally his garage.
Yeah, it's crazy, dude. Like thinking about that, it's like, man,
you have these 5 high name, high profile fighters training out of some dude's garage. That's wild.
In Orange County, California. Yeah. So,
it's cool, but it's just crazy.
Yeah. That's
some
nuts.
old school stuff right there.
And I think it really is. I mean, it reminds me of what's that? John Hackman. Training people in his backyard. And but I think I'm happy to see Sergio Pettis get the belt. I think that's a great deal for him. I think he definitely found his footing in Bellator.
Yeah.
I mean, I think with the UFC, when he was fighting the UFC, it's just something about it. He just couldn't keep up with those guys, or he would get super tough fights. I remember when he moved up to Bellator, he fought Rob Font. And so it's just like, man, fighting Rob Font, who's a lot bigger than you used to fight at 145, it's just like, man, like he's...
I think it's the same thing with Sage Northcutt.
Yeah.
You jump in this... Your name brings so much hype with it that you jump into these waters that you're not ready to swim in.
Because he had a lot of hype coming in because of the fact that he was Anthony Pettis' brother.
And he is a good fighter.
Yeah.
So when you're not ready, you don't get to sharpen yourself the way you're supposed to as a fighter or just any kind of athlete. So you go into something not prepared for it. Yeah, you're not going to have too much success. But he's definitely grown from his time in the UFC, and he shows it in Bellator. Because does he have a loss in Bellator? I think he's got...
I'm not sure.
I want to say he has one.
I know he's doing really good in Bellator, and of course, I mean, he just won the championship. But I mean, let me see. No, he's actually undefeated in Bellator. Yeah, actually, what's crazy is 2 fights into his Bellator career, he was fighting for the championship. He was 2-0 in Bellator. Then after his third fight was for the championship. Yeah. So what's it called? It was just he's had a lot of tough fights. I mean, he's fought tough competition since he was in the UFC. He fought Rob Font, Husier for Omega, Joseph Benavidez, Henry Cejudo, right before he won the title. You know. So I mean, it's just a lot of good names, but I mean, so it's just good to see him being successful though. But Saturday though, a lot to discuss with the UFC Vegas 26 card though. Before I forget, because I mean, I'm a big fan of the Pettis brothers. I mean, I'm hoping that Anthony finds his footing again in PFL. But a couple guys we saw his sons fight. Finally, we saw Alex Morano and Don Cerrone fight, but there's a lot of great fights on UFC Vegas 26. A lot of fights that I thought would be great and weren't really very exciting as well.
Unfortunately.
Yeah, and so a lot of fighters missed weight as well. That was another thing.
Yeah, several fights got scrapped from this card. This card was hard to keep going. Yeah, because you had Diego Sanchez and Donald Cerrone set to fight, and Diego Sanchez gets cut from the UFC.
And this fight was supposed to be the headliner was supposed to be Corey Sandhagen versus TJ Dillashaw, and so that fight got scrapped a week before. And then during that same week, that's when Cerrone's opponent Diego Sanchez falls out, so they had to find him a replacement.
Yeah, Angela Hill and Amanda Hebos get taken off.
Like the day of the fight.
Yeah. And Angela Hill was pretty mad. She was like, really wish somebody would have told me before I showed up to this thing.
And so, Amanda Hebos, she has the coronavirus. She's got the Rona. She got the bug. So hopefully she can, come back strong and it doesn't affect her cardiovascular or anything serious or she's out for a while. But honestly, my favorite fight, and it was the first fight on the card, Phil Hawes versus Kyle Dawkins. Phil Hawes defeated him by decision. It was a good back and forth fight. I mean, Phil Hawes is exciting, and Kyle Dawkins was able to keep up with him as much as he could. And
the Dawkins brothers both fight pretty similarly. I think they both are going to be a great set of brothers in the UFC. They're going to be fun to watch. But yeah, Phil Hawes was he's already ready. I think he's ready to move up.
Yeah.
And I think he showed that, and he looked like it. He looked like someone who's ready to move up because he's got great striking. But he showed the ability to control someone up against the cage and on the ground in that fight. Yeah. So I think he's ready. He's ready to move up.
A lot of the commentary team was saying, right now Phil Hawes is implementing what Kyle Dawkins is wanting to do. He was, so Phil Hawes is really, really stocky, and Kyle Dawkins is just really long. But, Kyle Dawkins had him hurt in that second round. Phil Hawes was able to fight through it, tag him back, and then get him to the ground. And then even in the third round, when he's on top of Kyle Dawkins beating him up, which I did not expect it to go to the ground, and Phil Hawes being in control as much as he was, but even the referee saying, you need to start fighting back, like I'm about to stop the fight, because of how serious he was just getting beat up. It was like, man. But, we'll see Kyle Dawkins back for sure. So, and Phil Hawes, I'm definitely going to be happy to see what's going to happen with him next. After that fight, I think he's doing really, really good, So then the other fight was another missed weight. Oh, yeah, I did want to bring up Ryan Benoit.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, completely forgot about that.
Really bad weight cut.
Seriously bad weight cut. I mean, you see him, he weighed in at 129.5 pounds. and he looked like he's about to fall, but just pass out. Like he had to get help to the scale, and he had to have help on the scale to stand there. And then eventually the medical team just said, you know what, no, he can't fight tomorrow. So it makes you really wonder, is he going to go up to 135? Is what's going on with his weight cut? Why is he, struggling to make this weight?
Yeah, it could have just been an issue that he had with this particular weight cut.
Yeah.
Or it could be something that they consistently struggle with. So yeah, they may end up having to move him or trying to move him up, which for the safety of the fighter is sometimes a better choice.
Yeah.
Even if it means you're going to be disadvantaged, if you really want to keep fighting, you can't shorten your career. You can't, like they say, burn the candle at both ends.
Yeah.
You can't be going out there fighting really hard while you're destroying your body with the weight cuts before the fight even happens. So I think he definitely needs to figure out what's going on. And he looking forward, he needs to change something.
Yeah, and then another guy who I don't know what happened with it, but Felipe Lins never even showed up to the to weigh-ins.
Oh yeah, that was
that there's Ben Rothwell for him versus Ben
Rothwell. Yeah, Felipe Lins never even showed up because he wasn't cleared, and they knew he wasn't cleared, and that's another one where they didn't know anything. So when he didn't show up, they were just like, yeah, no, Ben, your fight's off. And we don't know what to tell you. Yeah,
and so it was just random. And then, there's even Roxanne Modafferi was supposed to fight on this card.
Really?
Yeah, and she
I didn't even know that one.
Yeah, she tore her meniscus a month ago, so she wasn't able to fight.
Isn't it crazy, though, that this fight stayed put together?
Yeah.
But when John Jones had to fight Chael Sonnen and then pulled out, that card just fell apart and the UFC took it away.
Yeah.
Why did this one get to stay together? I don't understand. After it lost so many fights.
I think that was kind of Dana White just trying to push the blame on somebody because he knew it wasn't going to generate as much. This also wasn't a pay-per-view, so that could be it as well.
You know what? You're right. If this was a pay-per-view, it absolutely would have gotten canceled.
Yeah, I mean, it'd probably been like, we're not going to generate anything. So, there's, even who else was it? There's a lot of fights that were supposed to happen. I mean, was that Francisco Figueiredo who
Figueiredo was supposed to fight?
Yeah, he was supposed to fight.
I didn't know that either.
His opponent, Jimmy Flick, retired back April 10th. So, yeah, that happened.
I didn't know he was set to fight. Whoa, that's weird.
Yeah, then who else? Like Nicholas Mata had to pull out against Damir Hadzovic. And they found Nancy Medeiros, but they were able to book that for a later fight because it was such a short notice one. And then, that was really the whole gist of all the fighters. Like, Holly Holm was supposed to be on this card. I forgot about that too.
Oh my God, I didn't know that either.
She was supposed to fight. She was supposed to fight Juliana Pena. And,
I did know about that.
Yeah,
but Pena now has the
she has the title shot.
The title shot, because that fight missed out.
And so we gave Juliana Pena the title shot. Holly Holm has some illness that she's getting taken care of right now. Besides that, so another fighter that missed weight was Diego Ferreira. Whenever he fought Gregor Gillespie, but Gregor Gillespie being who he is, he said, nope, I'm still going to fight him. Take the fight. And
bench weight.
It was 160.5 pounds. And
Ferreira gives up 30% of his purse to Gillespie.
To Greg Gillespie, which, good for Greg Gillespie. Was able to pull off the second round TKO. So not only does he get a show money, but he's going to get win money and a little bit of some extra
he looked
money.
Rough after that first round, too.
He
really
looked
did.
Exhausted after that first round. And which is, because these guys, like we talked about last week, is like they're both very aggressive fighters. And it was a good fight, though. It's hard to say that. I go back and forth with this one and the Phil Hawes fight. These guys actually won fight of the night, so it was kind of nice to see that they got a little extra.
Gillespie got an extra $100K.
Yeah,
because he got fight of the night and knockout of the night.
Yeah, it was insane to see that, and I was like, man, that's really good to see that these guys were able to sit there and throw down. But Gregor Gillespie looked exhausted after that first round. Like
he was falling over.
Yeah, he's falling over. They had to get the doctor going and check on him and make sure he was okay. And it's like you've never seen Gregor Gillespie ever look like that. That guy always shows up. He shows up in shape. He shows up ready. And,
he's a gym rat. He's a notorious gym rat.
Yeah.
This guy is constantly training, or he's fishing, and he doesn't just fish. He goes out like into the deep waters, and he fishes real aggressively.
Oh, really? He does like the spear fishing?
He does. I don't know about spear.
Okay.
No, but he fishes that he just does everything he does aggressively.
Yeah. Okay. I thought you'd be like he's like in there fighting these fish or something, or just like.
Yeah, he does the thing where he sticks his arm in a hole and waits for the fish.
Oh,
to bite
noodling? Yeah, you gotta be careful with that shit, dude. It'll be a snapping turtle in there. You ever heard of that? Like a snapping turtle will snap you. Just
you ever watch Coyote Peterson?
No.
Look up Coyote Peterson when you can. Brave Wilderness. That's all he does.
Is he missing a finger?
No.
Okay.
Because he's. I'd say he's smart, but it's not really smart what he does. So he has this thing called the pain index or the sting index.
He's the dude that lets people fucking bite him and shit.
Yeah, bite him and sting him. So he determines what has the most powerful bite and what has the most powerful sting among insects and reptiles and lizards, all kinds of stuff. He had a Gila monster bite him. He let a giant desert centipede bite him. He let the Japanese giant hornet, aka the murder hornet, bite him or sting him. I'm stupid. He let what else? The cow killer wasp sting him. The giant ants that I think are from Australia. He let those bite him. Dude, he's freaking nuts. But yeah, he does that. He messes with snapping turtles too.
Oh god, dude, I'm gonna have to look
crazy.
That up.
He's
That's
crazy.
Dude, no, man, I can't do shit like that.
Coyote Peterson.
I'm gonna look him up after this. But
he's fun.
Gregor Gillespie, man, he's a grinder like we talked about. Back to that, but what's it called? Gregor Gillespie. Even Daniel Cormier was commenting on it. It's like I've never seen him tired before. Like this is way out of character for him because he's just always in great shape. And Carlos Ferreira is a very
and they talked about altitude as well being an issue.
That could be it as well. I didn't even think about that. And so, I keep calling him Carlos whenever he usually goes by Diego. But
Diego Carlos Ferreira, or is it Carlos
Diego Ferreira? And so Diego and him were just it was a good back and forth fight because these guys were scrambling back and forth. One guy was getting dominant position, the other guy was getting it, and eventually,
great wrestling.
Yeah, it was a lot of great wrestling. Great. Ferreira, for somebody that's a jiu-jitsu guy, was being very aggressive. He wasn't just letting him take control. He was taking control back. And you hear Diego's coaches yelling at him to get up because they know that this is what Gregor does. He will grind you out, but he's very aggressive when he does it. He's not a lay and pray type of fighter. He is in there to really go in there and just beat somebody up. And eventually, you see Gregor get in a dominant position, starts throwing some punches, and then after that, Gregor just gets his back and starts raining down punches and switches to elbows, and then the ref jumps in and calls the fight. And it was a great win. Great to see Gregor Gillespie. I'm a big fan of him. Happy to see him back in the win column after his knockout loss. And him and DC were talking about it. And Cormier was interviewing him, and he said, "It seems like a very emotional win for you." He's like, "It is. After I got knocked out, it's just I've been away from the sport for a year, and the doubt creeps in very, very quick. Can I keep up with these guys? Can I do this?" And he asked him about the first round, and he just said, after that first round, he's like, I made guys quit before I quit. He's like, that's my thing. I will tire myself out, but if I tire myself out, I know that guy's a lot more tired than I am. So,
well, with Ferreira, I think if you're talking about how Gillespie was saying the doubt creeps in real quick.
Yeah.
Ferreira's got to be kind of getting there too.
Yeah.
He's lost to Dustin Poirier. He's lost to Gillespie. He's lost to a lot of guys who are expected to move up in the rankings.
Yeah.
So you start to think at some point, what do you do for yourself as a fighter to stop losing to these guys? Because there's something about these guys that they keep getting you.
Yeah, like another guy he lost to was like Benil Dariush. That was back. That was a while back though. But he's coming up. He's had resurgence, but that's back in 2014.
Benil Dariush is fighting Tony Ferguson now, right?
Yep, he's fighting him next week. And so, granted, Diego was on a very long win streak. He was on a 6-fight win streak, and then he hadn't really lost since 2015. April 4th, 2015 was the last time he lost. So he was doing really good, but his biggest win was against Anthony Pettis when he submitted him. So it's like he wasn't fighting, bad guys. He's fighting top competition, but it was just kind of like, man, it does make you wonder, like, what's,
Now you start to lose to these guys, and it's like, what is it about them that makes them the better fighter than me, at least in that moment? Because MMA is crazy. You have guys who are not the better fighter. Look at Matt Serra, GSP.
Yeah.
Matt Serra is not a better fighter than GSP, but Matt Serra has a win over GSP.
Yeah.
So that's one of the biggest upsets in UFC history. Right. So you don't have to be a better fighter than that guy. You just have to be a better fighter that night.
Yeah.
But for some reason, against some guys, he can't seem to be the better fighter because he gets caught. But if you watch this fight, he has dominant position. He ends up getting back mount on on Gillespie.
Right.
But I would say that generally Gillespie was more dominant with the ground game in the first round. So when you go to the second round, he just kind of repeats that. So, like I said, I think there's something where he needs to go in and kind of figure out what's the next step for me. And I'm not saying he needs to retire or figure, maybe he needs to move weight classes. I just think there's something in his game that he needs to work on, and I'm sure his coaches will find it, because if I can see it,
I'm sure he's aware, and his coaches are aware.
Know. Yeah.
Well, that's the other thing is, like, DC talked about, that night was kind of, because they always get facts about these fighters. He drives from South Texas to Dallas.
9 hours.
9 hours. Yeah.
Daily commute?
4.5 there, 4.5 back.
That's
for 3 days a week. And I know that he talked about, like, he has property in South Texas. That's why he doesn't want to move up to Dallas. But at one point, though, you have to really consider, because if when you're in the UFC, you either want to have great fights or you want to be a champion.
He's in Dallas?
Yeah.
Or he lives in Dallas? Or
he trains in Dallas. He drives.
Dallas.
Yeah, he drives.
He lives in South Texas.
Yeah.
Where at in South Texas?
I'm not too sure. I mean, considering it
There's
has to be somewhere.
There are some gems.
It has to be somewhere around here. Considering we're 4.5 away from Dallas, so he's probably making a pretty far drive. But I mean, he was in Far Texas, which is Hidalgo County.
Hidalgo County.
Yeah, which is like kind of head towards San Antonio.
But there's got to be a gym. There's just got to be at least one closer. I mean, how many Houston gyms are there? There's several Houston MMA gyms.
Yeah.
So join up with Metro, man. Check out Metro Fight Club.
Yeah,
check out 4 Ounce.
Check out Team Took, man. Yeah, there's plenty of guys to check out right around there. Yeah, he lives. So
training at Heritage Muay Thai. I don't know, man.
So do you know where Matamoros, Texas is at?
No, I do not.
It's about an hour south of Corpus, and that's where Far Texas is at. This is like heading towards South Padre. So he lives far, and so he drives all the way up to Dallas 3 days a week to go and train. So, which I mean, there has to be some good gyms around there somewhere. So it's pretty much the city that he lives on is like the border line of Texas. Actually, no, man, it has to be 4 hours. 9 hours there, 9 hours back, because Far Texas is 5.5 hours from here, and Corpus is 3.5. So
that's just crazy.
Yeah, I mean, it's right on the border of Texas and Mexico.
I mean, you do you, Diego, but
I mean, apparently it was working for him for a little bit.
Yeah, but like I said, once you get to a certain level and you start losing, there's got to be something.
Yeah. Because he's lost 2 straight. He lost to Benil Dariush in his last fight.
Yeah.
Before this, so and he lost to a guy that's already beat him.
So there's got to be something.
Yeah.
That needs to be done. Whether it's a change of gyms, which always sucks because there's especially when it's something like that. Like you don't want to change. You have your coaches. You trust
it's working for him, but
you can't go to some other coaches who you don't know or don't trust.
Yeah. And so it's working for him, but I think what it is just he needs to figure out the commute issue. And so, but I mean, I think he's smart enough to get it together. He was, like I said, he was undefeated for 5, almost 6 years. So I think he's definitely going to be doing something with that, and he'll probably get it. I'm excited to see what's next for Gregor Gillespie. Take a little break, get right back in there. And so for the next fight, it was the Battle of the Neils. You had Neil Magny decision win against
Jeff
Neal.
It was I would say it was a really back and forth fight.
Yeah.
You had Jeff Neal pushing the pace the whole fight.
Yeah.
You had Jeff Neal backing Neil Magny into the cage constantly.
Yeah.
But Magny's using his reach, and he's using his jab, and he's using his kicks. He threw a lot of high kicks.
Yeah.
Whether they were landing or not, he was the one who was landing the shots.
Yeah.
And that's how he won. That's really just the story of the fight. Is that he was landing his shots. He was the one who was using them, and Jeff Neal was just pushing forward. Jeff Neal threw little to no kicks.
Yeah, he. I personally thought Jeff Neal won. I'm probably gonna go back and rewatch this because I feel like there's something I missed. Well. And but yeah, I think Jeff Neal was just able. But his thing was he was just saying they were very flat-footed. He wasn't really on his toes. He would bounce around a little bit, but whenever things would happen, he had great defense. I mean, Neil Magny landed some good shots.
Neil Magny early on was throwing a lot of straights, which is always my thing. If you can throw a straight and land,
especially for somebody as long as him, he's big.
Hooks. Yeah,
so he's a tall, long fighter. So,
but a lot of those straights weren't landing because Jeff Neal was good about not being on that center line.
He had great head
movement.
moving.
So yeah, it was a really back and forth fight.
Yeah,
a lot of steady paced action, maybe not high action, but a lot of steady paced action.
And, I think it took Neil Magny. It felt like it took him a couple rounds to get his reach down, because by that third round started, he made sure he won that third round.
Yeah, he definitely did.
Yeah, and I thought he won that third round for sure. And yeah, he went out there and he was just able to establish that jab really, really well against Jeff Neal, who's snapping his head back. He's hitting him with it so good. But
and the second Jeff Neal started closing that gap, Magny would clinch up with him and go up against Gage.
Yeah.
So anytime Jeff Neal did try to get something going, Neil Magny kind of shut it down.
Yeah, and so I mean that's really just a story of the fight. And so the next fight was the heavyweight fight, a very disappointing fight for me personally, just because I thought Maurice Green was going to be able to go in there and just put in work on.
Well, even if he couldn't, it was one of those wins where it's like I always say, I love, even if it's not crazy exciting, I love seeing one guy. Seeing a fighter who's so good that he can dominate someone else, even if it goes to decision, it's just cool to see.
Yeah,
but I don't think De Lima was able to really
do much.
Yeah, he would throw some punches, but he would get into guard, and then Green would get into half guard, and then just sit there.
Yeah.
So I think if Green would, I don't know, there are plenty of half guard sweeps you can do. And he didn't try for any one of them.
He didn't really try anything. When he got taken down, he was I think the entire fight
up against the cage and then sit there.
De Lima was in his half guard, and Green would back up against the cage, but he wouldn't try to capitalize with anything. He just let it happen.
He wouldn't try to wall walk. He wouldn't try to get his hips out.
And I think, honestly, man, the most exciting thing for me within that fight was between rounds 2 and 3.
Yeah.
Whenever they started getting into it and shit, when he hit him after the bell, and then Herb Dean comes in there and just suns all these guys.
Herb Dean's got to put his foot down and talk to these children.
Yeah,
they don't know.
Yeah, and so it was just funny because, what's his name? Because Maurice Green, he walked up to Maurice, because he gave them both warnings, and so he walked up to Maurice Green and was like, "Hey, man, like I see," and he's trying to Maurice Green tries to argue with him.
Well, first, like what happened was Green, from the bottom, had his hands covering De Lima's face. And at first they were over his mouth, and that was it. But then he puts his other hand across his face, across his eyes, and that pisses off De Lima.
Yeah.
So he starts hitting him, and the bell rings, and he throws one more punch in there.
Yeah.
And you hear him cuss as they walk away to their corners. You hear him cussing out Green.
Yeah, he's like motherfucker and stuff, and I was like, oh shit.
And then for the in between rounds, you had him in his corner complaining about Green poking his eyes.
Yeah.
And you have Green going, no, I didn't. And then Herb Dean's just sick of it.
He just looks at it. He told him, he's like, shut up. This is what you're going to do. And I was like, oh, man, what the hell? Made me jump. Like,
he kept, stop.
Yeah.
Stop it.
Yeah, he just told him, and then you see, he's like, yes, sir. And which, good on these guys to show some sportsmanship. And I mean, after they touch gloves and, show some discipline and not be all mad about it. But kind of. That late punch. I mean, there's something to do about that. That you don't punch him. If anything, you want to make a statement about that. Is you tell the referee, hey, he's covering my eyes. Like, you need to tell him something. And so whenever Herb Dean, he took a point from De Lima from the second round, because he's like, hey, look, your foul was much more serious.
You don't know that he took a point. Because he didn't make any indication that he took a point. Because when you take a point, you make an indication, and then the officiants will tell you back a point is gone, and then they do the whole show of standing them in the middle of the cage and saying 1 point is taken away, 1 point is taken away.
Yeah, no, he didn't get he actually did not get a point taken away.
Yeah, so what Herb Dean said to De Lima was, hey, anything like that again, it's going to be more than just a point taken away. So I think he's saying, like, yeah, this is your warning. I'm not going to take a point.
Yeah, I'm just disqualified.
But this is a warning.
Yeah.
If you do it again, you're going to get disqualified. No points taken away. Just straight disqualification.
Right, and which I think is the right call by him, because, you don't commit fouls like that. You don't sit there and do stuff like just hit somebody after the bell. Y'all are professional fighters. You should have some type of respect towards each other, and that's just not what you do. But at least they were able to. I mean, between rounds, they whenever they were lining up to get ready to fight, they went and touched gloves and they apologized, which was cool. But it was just I expected Maurice Green to get the submission win, and he didn't do that. You had to do a kickboxer, De Lima just go out there and completely dominate him
on the ground. Yeah. It was pretty rough.
Yeah, for the co-main event though, a very shocking TKO by Alex Morano.
Shocking, but let's give him his credit this time,
for sure.
because we should have last time and we didn't.
Yeah, I felt.
This is our boy.
Yeah,
that's Houston native.
I felt
that's
super bad.
We're not repping our set.
I felt like I was really digging into that guy, and I shouldn't have been. And so, but I think it was funny because as soon as we ended, I looked at Zach and I said, I was like, I really kind of went in a little bit, didn't I? And he's like, yeah, just maybe too much, but. It's just, I mean, he went in there and he put in work, and one of the things was...
Alex Morano, by the way. I don't know if we said the
Alex
names.
Morano,
Alex Morano took the fight on, was it 6 days' notice?
Yeah, against
Donald Cowboy Cerrone.
Yeah, nobody does that against Cowboy Cerrone. Yeah. They have to, even no matter what his loss streak is like, people don't do that.
Cerrone usually is the one stepping up to take a fight on short notice.
Which, fun fact about Alex Morano is he actually, his first fight in the UFC was on a week's notice against Kyle Noke.
Which he won.
Which he won. So it's
I love Kyle Noke. Kyle Noke is a very tough guy, very thick, tough fighter from Australia. So he's seen some stuff.
Yeah.
But for him, for Alex Morano to go in there and beat someone like Kyle Noke, that's really a big statement.
Yeah.
And
he was throwing
Saturday
bombs,
night was
man.
a big statement because
Yeah.
he went in there and was hitting heavy. And like I said earlier, I was going to bring up reaction time. Donald Cerrone's reaction time was just not there.
Yeah.
Anytime these punches just barely missed him, you could see him try to move, but it was way late. Like the punch already missed, it was already gone, it had already happened, and that's when he reacted to it. And it's like, whoa, man.
Yeah.
You are moving real slow.
And I think whenever we were watching the fights, you said it best was when you said it's like this is what you expect when you see an older fighter versus a younger fighter.
Yeah.
You see the younger fighter is looking sharp, he's looking good. Morano would just, he
a
just
much
went
higher energy
Yeah.
Output, and then you have Donald Cerrone trying to capitalize on these counters, and it's just not happening.
He fights very
because
straight.
You're so slow and stiff looking.
Yeah, Alex Morano.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, it was sorry. But Alex Morano, he was able to go in there and he was throwing overhand rights and just doing punches like that and just landing them every single time. And Cerrone's just not really doing much with it. He just is just taking it, and it's like, man, dude, you gotta do something. You can't just walk forward into this guy every single time. He's landing these punches every single time.
And he wasn't holding his hands up either.
Yeah.
His stance was very traditional Muay Thai, but he didn't have his hands up high. So when you stand tall like that and you don't have your hands up high, you're just leaving your chin out there to be hit, and that's exactly what happened.
Yeah.
Moreno said that it's not the overhand right wasn't a punch he practiced. It's just a punch he said he felt like it was working.
Yeah,
and it definitely did. He landed it a few times, and then the one that he landed to start the sequence that finished Cowboy was an overhand right, and then another overhand right up against the cage, and he was just putting some hurt on him, and then Cowboy kind of finds some separation and then backs himself into a cage and kind of turtles up again before Moreno even gets to him. So it's like, dang, that's over. And then the ref stopped it.
Yeah, it was good. I'm excited to see what's next for Alex Moreno after that fight. I think he did a lot of great things.
Yeah, it's a big deal to beat Cowboy.
Look at the guys who have beat Cerrone and what they go on to do after they beat him. Even recently. I mean, especially at welterweight, one of the couple guys that beat him at welterweight were Darren Till, Jorge Masvidal. These big names that eventually just
Conor
McGregor, and look what they're doing. It helps boost their stock and show that and all these guys finished Donald Cerrone as well. They finished him.
This is Cowboy's 6th straight fight without a win.
Yeah, because he's technically 0-5-1 because of the no contest, which would have been a draw with Nico Price. But yeah, it was just. I'm excited to see what's next for Alex Morano. I don't know what's next for Donald Cerrone. I think he really needs to start reflecting on what's next. He doesn't want to retire. He said it, and
he said he doesn't want to retire. He doesn't feel like he needs to retire, but his performances say otherwise.
Yeah.
So I think he understands that with what he's doing in the cage, that's the kind of stuff that people do when they need to retire.
Yeah.
But if he's not feeling like he needs to retire, maybe he's wrong, but you give it one more shot.
Yeah, I think one more fight would be good. I think just one more. Give him a good mega fight. Nothing too big, but something where it's
give him a rematch with Nate Diaz.
Yeah, make it fun.
Stop this Nate Diaz trying to get a title shot nonsense.
Yeah,
get him to fight. Cowboy. Get that rematch going. That'd be fun.
That would be a lot of fun, honestly.
And that'd be huge for both of them.
Yeah, they both get a great payday.
But we don't get that. We don't get that as fans.
No,
we're not.
We get fights that make no sense. That's what we're getting.
Yeah.
And so
we get Nate Diaz versus Leon Edwards. If Nate Diaz doesn't go in there and just get annihilated by Leon Edwards, I'm going to be upset.
My thing is, like, what if Nate Diaz beats Leon Edwards?
Then he's going to end up getting a title shot, which he didn't work for.
Yeah, it's going to mess up the whole picture. But yeah, it's just going to mess that all up. And oh my God, man, I wanted to see Stephen Thompson fight.
But at the same time, that's just typical Diaz fashion. Yeah, that's what they do.
They don't give a fuck.
Look at Nick right now. He's coming in here out of nowhere, going, "Yeah, I'll fight Kamaev."
Yeah,
sure. But it's like, excuse me?
Yeah.
At what weight? And what are you talking about? Do you even know who he is?
Yeah. And so it's just, there's just a big mix up going on right now and all that. But so for the main event, we had Mahina Rodriguez, a decision win over Michelle Waterson. And it was a good fight for Rodriguez. If you were a fan of her, I like her. You know, I think she has heavy hands for her division. So she fights at 115. This fight actually took place at 125 since it was a short notice fight for both these fighters, so they were kind of able to get that down. But Rodriguez just was the aggressor. She was a step ahead. She was able to do a bunch of different things that Michelle Waterson wasn't able to do. Michelle Waterson did get a takedown in the 4th round, but didn't really capitalize on it too much.
I think what I had said for the last time when we talked about this fight, made our predictions, I said that Michelle Waterson she knows how to use her legs, she knows how to create the distance and use it, and I think she did that.
Yeah.
But anytime an exchange happened where she had to use punches, she didn't land, and Marina did. Marina landed a lot of heavy hits, and that generated a lot of the octagon control for her.
Yeah.
So I think that's the reason she won, is that your 1 and your 1 and 2 kicks don't match up to these 3 or 4 punch combinations that consistently land.
Yeah.
I think the best moment in that fight for Michelle Waterson was the head kick she landed.
Yeah.
That swelled up the side of Marina's face.
She also, like, right after that head kick in the 5th round, she landed a really good body kick that had had
it was loud.
Yeah, it was loud and it had her wilting. But the thing is Michelle Waterson wasn't looking and didn't see her wilting. So when she turned around, Marina just put on a poker face.
Yeah, it was that typical karate spinning back kick where you just completely put your back to them. So of course she didn't see it.
Throw it to the wind, and it's like, man, like, you probably could have got the fight stopped right there. You could have capitalized on that and made it happen.
And instead you lost.
And so, yeah, it was just, I like Michelle Waterson a lot. I think she's a fun fighter. But, I mean, good for Mahina. It's definitely going to boost her stock. I think she's definitely been making a lot of noise at 115. I mean, she
wants to fight Jacek next.
I would love to see that fight.
They called her out.
That's a great fight.
Yeah,
I think that'd be
two big and long fighters who like to sit in there and strike. Of course, that's really fun.
Yeah, I think that'd be a really, really great fight. I mean, that's probably one of my favorite divisions. Is those. I say that every time we talk about the strawweight division, but it's just fun, dude. Yeah. Mahina hits so hard for being 115 pounds, and I mean,
I think her moving up makes that division really exciting because now you have a new champion.
Yeah.
So her path to the champion is going to have to be through Jacek, and it's going to have to be through Weili Zhang.
Yeah.
If they don't do any kind of rematches anytime soon, she's got a tough road ahead of her, but she's looking pretty game. She can go 5 rounds. She showed that. And
she was able to keep the same pace, so I mean, it was definitely good. So.
Oh, man.
So for outside MMA, we did want to discuss Canelo Alvarez got a 8th round.
Vicious uppercut knockout that was.
Yeah, he got an 8th round TKO against Billy Joe Saunders. Excuse me.
And I should clarify, it wasn't a knockout. Billy Joe Saunders stopped the fight. Him and his corner decided he couldn't continue.
Yeah,
rightfully so. But in between rounds 8 and 9, he went to the stool, and I can't remember if Canelo went to his stool, but he was celebrating basically from the end of that round to the end of the fight. They hadn't even called it yet, but he was walking around the ring with his hands up. Yeah,
because he knew that he wasn't getting off the stool. I mean, his eye was swelled shut immediately. So Billy Joe Saunders had some great moments in that fight, but nothing that was going to be Canelo. Yeah. Canelo was ready to go all 12 and keep winning. I think he only really won like 1 round, which I think was the 6th round. And so it was just another phenomenal performance by Canelo Alvarez, like he always does. He always puts on these good fights, and hopefully we'll see Billy Joe Saunders back pretty soon. It was definitely, I mean, when you break an orbital, I mean, you didn't just fracture, you broke it, dude.
His face is ruined.
Yeah. I mean, it was just like his eye swelled shut immediately, and it's like, damn, that sucks. But I mean, you always got to wonder what's next for Canelo Alvarez. I mean, he's already taken over all these weight classes. I think next
it's
up
like
next
his 5th belt or something.
Yeah, next would be cruiserweight, which he had to put on 25 pounds for.
And I don't think he should do that. I think he's too small for that.
Yeah,
that's pushing it.
And so he actually wants to fight Caleb Plant next, which, I mean, Caleb Plant is the current, he is actually the undisputed super middleweight champion. So that would be a good fight to finally cement Canelo Alvarez as the best middleweight, all that.
Yeah.
In the world. I personally feel like he is the best boxer in the world right now. That's just my personal opinion.
While Floyd Mayweather is out, yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And so
if Floyd Mayweather were to come back for a rematch with him, I don't think he wins that rematch.
No, I don't think so either.
I think Canelo wins it. And Canelo actually said that I think it was after that win. Could have been the day before. But he said that if he and Mayweather would have fought, or if he and Mayweather would have fought both in their primes, that he still would have won, which I find confusing because you're in your prime and you lost to an out of prime Mayweather. How would you have beat him if he was in his prime?
Yeah, well, I mean, I think we're seeing Canelo in his prime right now.
We are, but he was in his prime when he fought Mayweather.
Yeah, I think he was entering his prime.
Yes.
Yeah, he's entering his prime, but I think now, like with the Canelo we're seeing now.
Well, do you think the Canelo we're seeing now would have been the Canelo we see now without that loss to Mayweather? I don't think so.
Probably not.
I think that loss is what made this Canelo.
Yeah.
So I don't think he would have beat Mayweather in Mayweather's prime.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely just. I think that loss definitely, because a lot of these losses either make or break guys, and that one loss right there already just like, you mean, he's won he's 58 and 1 now.
Yeah.
So I think him and Demetrius Andrade. Sorry, I'm still used to saying Andrade, but him and Demetrius Andrade got into it at the weigh-ins, and he just starts telling him, he's like, man, get the fuck out of here. He's like, that's the easiest fight in this division. Like, I'm not gonna fight that guy. And then after that, like Demetrius Andrade's dad starts talking crap to Canelo, and Canelo's like, just go, man, get out of here. Like, this is, so I'm trying. So and I think he told him, he's like, this is my spotlight, so I'm trying to take my spotlight, so I'm trying to get famous.
Yeah, and that's all they're doing is trying to take some spotlight, trying to take some attention, because it's one of those things where when you fight Canelo, it's like with McGregor. Yeah. When you fight Canelo, your name is getting highlighted. Like, Billy Joe Saunders is a fantastic boxer. I would say he even looked good against Canelo. Did he look like he was winning? I don't think so. Apparently, a lot of people did think so, but because there's some controversy with the judges' scorecards. Yeah, they had him winning 2 rounds, and everybody was like, "Oh no, I think he won more than that." Does it matter? No, because the fight was finished. But phenomenal boxer. Just Canelo looks so much better than him. Yeah, no, it's just, and that's what he does to these guys. He just makes them look not as good as they really are. But now we all know who Billy Joe Saunders is. Yeah. Now we all know who Demetrius Andrade is. Not that there are plenty of people who do know who they are. But now everyone knows who they are because he fought Canelo. And Billy Joe Saunders, that was his first loss also. So, I mean, sometimes... So he'll come back, and now he probably has a bigger... at the very least, he has more eyes on him. People know who he is for sure now. So him coming back is probably a guarantee. People will be excited for it. And people will know who to look for now. Yeah. So that's Billy Joe Saunders. Mm-hmm. And I think it's just going to be all that. Then we saw Floyd Mayweather recently in the highlights and in the headlines. So So what's interesting is Floyd Mayweather is they are doing their best to get him set to fight Logan Paul. Yeah. And then Jake Paul comes up. I think he was streaming live on some social media platform, and he's like talking about I'm here doing whatever. Floyd Mayweather's over there. I'm gonna go in there and take his hat. And then he goes over there, and they get into each other's faces. Huge crowd around them. You got Paul's guys, you got Mayweather's guys, and they're just getting in each other's faces, talking all this crap. And then Jake Paul yanks his hat away and runs off. But Mayweather catches up to him. Yeah. And they trade some blows. Yeah. I think it was more... Mayweather landing some blows. I think it was his team. I think Mayweather is smart enough to know, because that dude's always in legal troubles because he doesn't like to pay his taxes. But he can't read them. So, he can read numbers. He makes a lot of them. Yeah. Well, he makes so many he doesn't have to read them anymore. He has dyslexia, not dyscalculia. I mean, he's...
But so I think what's that? Jake Paul was like, I guess he had planned it out, but I think he realized really quick that there's certain guys you just can't play around like that with, like because a lot of these MMA fighters who are talking crap to him on the internet aren't really doing anything about it, and it's like,
and they're not going to because and they're all telling him like, oh, come fight me in the cage, like. No, we need to put it into it in the boxing world.
Yeah,
because that's where you're gonna stop this.
And he's milking that fight against Mayweather. It's obvious, but So I think what's his name? Jake Paul was trying to laugh about it when he had a cracked tooth and a black eye. Yeah. So he definitely got what was coming to him.
But so what? I just don't understand. Why is he trying to take this fight from his brother, or is he trying to hype it up like between like, oh, now there's this rivalry. Now he gets to be in Logan's corner. Mm-hmm. I don't understand what's going on. Logan's a better boxer.
Yeah.
Logan's a more serious boxer. Do I think he's a great boxer? Absolutely not.
Yeah.
But I think Jake Paul is a joke, and Logan Paul is trying not to be a joke.
Yeah.
Good for him. Let him have this. Why is he fighting Mayweather? I don't freaking know. It's another circus show with Triller.
I don't even know how it came about. That's the thing.
And they had to reschedule it like twice now because no one wanted to watch it.
Yeah, and people
showed zero interest in it, so they were like, "Let's push it back."
Which there was always a rumor that, as I fucking hate giving into this shit, but there was always a rumor that apparently they were trying to set up. What they were secretly trying to set up was Jake Paul versus Floyd Mayweather, and so.
But why?
I mean, I don't know.
I don't understand this.
Jake Paul.
Did you know? I think it was Jake Paul. I don't remember. I really lose track on who's who with them. They're twins as far as I'm concerned. One of them pulled up to Soulja Boy's house and tried to fight him. And then Soulja Boy and his guys came out of the house with guns, and they're like, "Oh no, let's leave."
Yeah, what did he expect? That's what when I was talking to my barber about this the other day. Like we were just sitting there bullshitting, and
as you do.
Yeah, just having just talking about this, and we talked about. He asked me, he's like, "What do you think would Floyd Mayweather would do to Jake Paul?" And I was like, he would fucking kill. I was like, okay. I was like, considering what happened, I was like, and he was like, yeah. I mean, I think he kind of punked him. I was like, he did punk him, and that's the reason why he got beat up.
Well, let me ask you this: though. Do you think Floyd Mayweather knocks out Jake Paul?
100%.
I don't know if he knocks him out.
I think he does. I think he still has that power. He just knows how to not use it.
Well, he's got the speed.
Yeah.
He's had the power, but he hasn't shown the power in a very long time.
Yeah, he just fought smarter.
But he's got the speed for sure.
Yeah.
I'm certain of it. I think he needs to shave his head.
Oh, yeah.
He's looking old now.
Yeah.
The beard, too. He looks old. And I think that's all it is just the hair. I'm used to seeing him very clean cut.
Yeah. But, yeah, no, I think just with that, it's just dumb. And he was like, and I told him, I was like, man, honestly, I think what it comes down to is just, I mean, Mayweather has a lot of money, so I think Jake Paul realized really quick you can't fuck around with these guys. Like, if Floyd Mayweather wants to, he could easily put the...
Well, you'll never see him do something like that.
He'll never do something stupid.
Canelo.
Yeah.
You'll never see him do something like that to Canelo
no.
or Pacquiao. You'll see him do it to Mayweather because Mayweather runs his mouth and does kind of circus show antics.
Yeah.
He already went and fought McGregor, so he's shown that he's willing to do it.
He fought that guy in Japan.
Yeah, also, I'm blanking on his name. The young kickboxer dude.
Yeah,
which he's great.
Yeah, he's not a boxer, but it just happens, So, but yeah, I think I even said I was like, no, someone like Floyd Mayweather could easily just put the check on his head, and that's it. I was like, and I think he found that out really, really quick. So yeah, I mean, just some more dumb shit going on in that whole thing, We're
gonna go ahead and cut it here. I don't want to talk about this Triller stuff anymore, anything involving it. But yeah, so a lot of wild stuff. Like we talked about, you have the Verdum controversy with PFL. You have the light heavyweight tournament going on in Bellator. And you have UFC rankings kind of shifting a little bit with Phil Hall's moving up, Gregor Gillespie moving up. Neil Magny still proving his dominance. You have Alex Morono beating Cowboy in short notice.
Yeah.
And then Marina Rodriguez coming in. So it's really exciting stuff to look forward to. We will catch you guys next time.